afternoon and welcome to another one of our chats about women's health that we've done a series of now, and you can find them on the NHS Bradford and Airedale Facebook as you are watching now. So today I'm Connolly, I'm a GP, I am the clinical lead for women's health for Bradford, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the issues, the questions that have been sent in, asking about some questions about women's health. And I'm joined today by Kathy. Kathy is a nurse practitioner who has worked for many years in women's health and children's health around Bradford, and she currently works at the GP practice at Bevan Healthcare and at Horton Bank Top. And she's going to also answer one of the questions that has been sent in. Now, we have asked for some questions to be sent in, and at the end of this session we'll again ask people to send in questions for our next webinar. But just to reassure anyone who does have a question they'd like to send in, you can either put it publicly on the Facebook page, or you can send a confidential question, and obviously we won't mention any names, but we could use the question like we're going to do with these, and you send that to the website. The email address is communications@bradford.nhs.uk. Now, the first question I'm going to answer today is a question that came in, and it says, I'm struggling at work because I have to go to the toilet all the time. The others in the office think I'm a secret smoker and they keep making comments. What can I do? Now, urine problems are very unreported because women and men are often very embarrassed about the problem that they're having. It's not something that you talk about, and it's something that you often hide because you think it's maybe part of getting older. Sometimes it's about the fact that you've had children, so you imagine it is a natural course after childbirth. But there is much help out there, because not only do we want to help you with your physical issues, but also the psychological impact that this problem might be having. Now, there are a couple of basic questions that I would always want to know first. One is, has this just started? Is this a very acute episode? Because if that's the case, we need to think about causes such as infection, which are really important because they need different management. Another one might be, have you passed any blood in your urine? And that again follows a totally different pathway because investigations are needed urgently to make sure there isn't a serious cause for this. But what usually happens for women is that over a series of months or years, they gradually notice that this problem becomes more of an issue for them. Now, there are two main causes of problems with urine. One is what we call stress incontinence, or stress-related leakage. And what that usually means is anything that increases the pressure within the abdomen might cause extra pressure on the bladder and make you leak a little bit. This is really common following childbirth or anybody who's had several babies. And it might be when you cough, when you sneeze, if you go on a trampoline, when you're dancing, and it may actually restrict women's social activities because they're worried about this problem. They don't usually lose a lot of urine, but it comes frequently. Now, if that is your main issue, then that is usually improved by increasing the muscles of the pelvic floor, and that is by pelvic floor exercises. Now, there is an app. You can get the app. It's called Pelvic Floor app, and that gives an idea of the exercises to do, and also helps you record them so that you know that you're doing them. There's a great website called the Bladder and Bowel Foundation, and once again we're going to be putting these onto the website so that you can know where you can access this information from. But this has got a good resource for pelvic floor exercises so that you can start to improve your own pelvic floor muscles, which will help reduce the leakage. If this doesn't improve, then you can either self-refer, and the continence service, and again we'll put this on the website, the continence service in Bradford is based in Eccleshill. The continence service, they triage the referrals, or you can self-refer, on 01274 322 171. And they will see you at a local site near to you, so it isn't necessarily everybody has to go to Eccles Hill. You can also go and see your GP, who can also make this referral. Now, the other type of incontinence, which we see often as we get older, is something called urge incontinence. Or sometimes it's just an urgency without incontinence. And that means you get an urge to go, and you have to go. So if I was sitting here and I had urge incontinence and I felt that urge, I would have to go, because otherwise I would be fearful of wetting myself, basically, which is what I think is happening with this lady who sent in this comment about this case. Now, what happens with urgency is that as the bladder fills up with urine, it starts to give a message to the brain. And that message to the brain says, I need to go to the toilet. Now, if you don't have a problem with urge incontinence, you can say to yourself, actually, it's not convenient, so I'm not going to go now. I'll go in a bit when I really need to go, or at the end of a talk like this. People with urge incontinence, if they don't go, then they get caught out. And so what they do is they go more and more frequently. And in the end, the bladder becomes very small. And so as soon as it becomes tight, the message that goes to the brain can't stop it saying, you can't go now. And that is when we risk this problem. Now, there's a lot of self-help we can do about urgency. Firstly, it's about reducing anything that irritates the bladder. And the things that irritate the bladder are smoking, alcohol, caffeine, fizzy drinks, and also about weight reduction, which helps, and these also will help with reducing stress incontinence, actually. So it's about thinking what we're drinking, when we're drinking it, and how we manage when we have to go to the toilet. Now, again, from the Bladder and Bowel Foundation, you can download this, which is a bladder diary. And on the bladder diary, you record what you drink and how much you drink, how much you're going when you go to the toilet, and whether or not you're leaking, and when you are leaking, what it is you were doing when you were leaking. So it gives us sort of a pattern, so you can watch what you're doing and learn yourself about how you can self-manage. And again, there's more resources on the Bladder and Bowel Foundation website that will help you understand this better. So, if that helps, and often just by changing what you take, drinking decaffeinated coffee or cutting out the fizzy drinks, will make enough difference so that you then can get more control of your bladder function. And again, allow your bladder to get a bit bigger, and then a bit bigger, and then return to normal. But if you need more help with this, again, you can refer to the continence service, and I've given you the number already, but it's 01274 322 171, or you can see your GP, and they could examine you, test your urine, and refer you on to the service if that was felt to be necessary. So, I'm hoping that I've helped give some advice to help this lady so that she can start to function a little bit better at work. But if not, you could either send in other questions and we can continue with that, or go on to the resources that I've already mentioned. So, Kathy.
Can I just ask a question? Are there any services available for children across Bradford? Children who maybe wet the bed at night, or have problems, soiling themselves maybe at school or something like that.
Okay, so children, again, it's something that really does upset children, doesn't it? Because of the impact and the relationships they're building. So with children, firstly, it's worth looking at their bowel habit, just to make sure that they are going to the toilet, because constipation, I didn't mention that, it's the same for adults. Constipation is a big cause of the way the bladder works. So for children, if they are not regularly emptying their bowel or taking a decent diet, that would be a problem. You could talk to the health visitor. That would be a good place to go. or at school if it's an issue. It may be that there's something at school that the school nurse or the teacher needs to be exploring just in case there's something else upsetting the child. Or again, talk to the GP. But the continence service in Bradford that we've talked about will also see children. So I don't know if you've got anything else to add to that.
How common is incontinence?
In women?
Well, across the board, really.
So incontinence is very, very common, and it's very unreported. So the true figures no one really knows. But we do need to be thinking, as we get older, particularly us women, we will all have continence issues of one sort or the other. So even if you're not now having problems with your pelvic floor and you've not got stress incontinence, it's always worth doing pelvic floor exercises. And part of that, you can do that as part of core stability. If you go to yoga or to Pilates, that will also help. So think about your pelvic floor. Okay, so the next case, Kathy, I think was on menopause.
It was. It's a question that's coming from a lady. She said, I'm so tired. I'm waking so many times during the night sweating. I'm only 47, so I think it's a bit too early for the menopause. My husband's fed up with me waking up, throwing the covers off, and I'm sure a lot of us can vouch for that one. And what can she do about it? So, the menopause. Menopause is the time when women's periods stop. It happens because women slowly run out of eggs. Periods usually start to become less frequent over a few months or even years before they stop altogether. It doesn't happen at any particular age or last for a fixed period of time. The average age is about 52, but women can have menopausal symptoms from 45 up to 55. It can cause a variety of symptoms and these can last for between 2 and 5 years. The symptoms that women get during the menopause are hot flushes and sweating, as this lady's said. But you can also become quite tired or lack energy. Some women notice that their mood's a little bit low and they can actually suffer from depression during the menopause. Some ladies also suffer with vaginal dryness and a loss of sex drive, which can be a problem within a relationship. About 80% of women will suffer from hot flushes and night sweats at some stage during the menopause. The hot flushes are a sudden feeling of heat which comes from absolutely nowhere and spreads throughout the body, and a lot of women will say they can feel it starts at the feet and works up, and then they suddenly get the red flushing on the chest, in the face. They can often feel quite warm and often have palpitations as well. The symptoms vary in severity from woman to woman, and some will only suffer occasionally with the odd hot flush. Other women can have up to 20 a day, and they can continue for several years. Hot flushes are caused by a malfunction in the body's normal method of temperature control, and they can occur before the periods stop, but are most common in the first year after the last period. When women come to see me with hot flushes and night sweats, we talk about some of the self-help tips that women can try. One of the main things is obviously trying to keep cool. Maybe wearing lighter clothing or layers rather than having lots of thick sweaters and things on. Layering is really useful because you can just take one layer off at a time. The other thing is, I always recommend is having a little spray in your bag with some cool water in to spray your face if you're suddenly feeling quite warm. Instead of having hot baths, which I'm sure we all like, is to have a lukewarm shower instead. Trying to keep the bedroom cool at night, that's the biggest thing, because your husband complains that he's frozen while you're actually very hot. So maybe having sheets and layers on the bed rather than having a big thick duvet, because obviously if you throw a sheet off or a blanket off, your husband's still got his covers on, and then you can pull them back on when you cool down again. Try and avoid any potential triggers for the hot flushes. Spicy food tends to give you a bit of a hot flush. Caffeine, smoking and alcohol are all triggers. The second one is try to relax. Psychological symptoms are often associated with hormonal changes in the menopause. You can feel quite down, you can feel quite anxious at times, a bit irritable, have mood swings, feel tired and have no energy. And I'm sure that's one of the things that other people, your partner or your family will talk about, mum's mood swings or, that she's always tired. Around this time though, at that age, we often have lots of other stresses within our lives. Often our parents are getting quite elderly and become more dependent on us. There's often deaths within the family or divorce. Children tend to be leaving home at this stage, maybe moving on to university or moving to their own homes, so we're left with the empty nest syndrome. Try to improve your mood. Try and get plenty rest. Take regular exercise. Try relaxation exercises and breathing exercises. Some women find those very useful. Third one is sleep well. Restful sleep helps you cope with the night sweats. Try and avoid exercise within 2 hours of going to bed, and try and go to bed at the same time every night. That programs your body to sleep better, but choose a time when you know that you're going to feel tired. Some people feel tired as soon as they come home from work at 6, 7 o'clock, other women can go till 10, 11 o'clock. But try and find a time that suits you. Wear lighter nightwear and keep the room cool, as we've already said. Cutting down on caffeine, especially in the evening. Caffeine interferes with the process of falling asleep and prevents deep sleep. So try a warm milky drink or herbal tea instead of caffeine, or like we've said for incontinence, try and have caffeine-free drinks. Try not to overindulge too much in an evening. Don't have too much food or alcohol late at night, as that tends to interrupt your sleep pattern. Stop smoking. Nicotine is a stimulant and that will not aid sleep. Try to relax before bed. A warm bath, quiet music, yoga, some relaxation exercises. Read, whichever suits you. Fourth one is getting regular exercise. There is evidence that women who are more active tend to suffer less from the symptoms of the menopause. Exercise is important, not just for relief of symptoms within the menopause, but it's also to maintain a healthy heart and to prevent osteoporosis in later life. A brisk walk 3 times a week is a great way to start and helps prevent bone loss and fractures. The 5th one, stop smoking. Women who smoke tend to have an earlier menopause than non-smokers. They usually have worse hot flushes and often don't respond as well to HRT, if that's something that you want to consider. There are plenty of websites where you can access good information. Menopause Matters is an excellent website, certainly one that I recommend to most of my patients, but also the patient website. You just put in menopause and that will come up with lots of information, and these will be available on the site at the end. There's lots of self-help advice available on those websites, and also you can find information about complementary and alternative therapies to help with the symptoms of the menopause. If menopausal symptoms are having a negative effect on your relationship, your job, your life, then it might be time to seek help from the GP. A consultation with your GP may be useful to offer you some support and reassurance. They can also give you information about HRT options if that's something you want to think about. But certainly I recommend patients have a good look on the Menopause Matters website to look at HRT and then come in and have a consultation about it.
Yeah, I think that covers most of the things there. I think what we have to understand, don't we, that actually we want to live for, the average age now is about 80, isn't it, for a woman to die now. And so we're protected before the menopause by the hormones that we make from our ovaries. And actually after the menopause, the main hormone, estrogen, reduces. And so that has an impact on our longer term health as well. So women who are postmenopausal do increase their risk of getting heart disease, blood pressures are likely to go up, and also bone thinning. So that means if you fall or land awkwardly, you're more likely to break a bone if you have bone thinning or osteoporosis. So I think you're right with all of those things you said, because they really help. The lifestyle changes we can make at this time really help with the menopausal symptoms, such as the cigarettes and the alcohol and increasing exercise. But actually they also help protect us from some of the longer term health risks we get as we get older. So really menopause is a sort of a warning shot, if you like, that we need to think about how we manage in the longer term.
Yeah, I agree.
So there's lots of information on the national websites, as we've already said. There's also other resources, and again we'll list these on the website. But if you want help with your weight, ABL Health are a company who are commissioned to provide help with weight management. There is a contact phone number. There are the leisure centres and pools in Bradford district where you can go and obviously enjoy a little bit of exercise, or just getting out and about. And there's the park runs every Saturday at Horton Park and Lister Park, do the park runs. We've mentioned this on previous talks, but the apps on the phone, One You, Change for Life, there's the BMI weight calculator. So there's lots of information that's available to us. So we want to make changes that help us become physically fitter and able to manage some of these complications that we get as women, or some of these health consequences that have big impact on our lives. So we're going to finish there today, because we've covered a couple of the areas that both Kathy and I see in our regular clinics. And I think really it's empowering women to think, actually, just because I've got menopausal symptoms or because I've got urine problems, I don't actually have to put up with them. It's not something I have to tolerate. So let's make some self-help changes, but also if you've got issues, let's use some of the resources that we've got in Bradford, or go and talk to your GP, who can always signpost you to the health necessary people to help. Now, our next chat is going to be on the 3rd of March. This is going to be more focused on children. So this is going to be called Women's Health, You and Your Children, Making a Healthy Start in Life. And it will cover feeding behaviour in self-limiting illnesses. If you have any questions, as I've said, that you'd like to submit, these will be confidential if you put them into the communications at bradford.nhs.uk, or if you want to share the questions, you can put them onto the NHS Bradford and Airedale website. So thank you again for listening. This is 2017. We are making changes to women's health in Bradford, but that starts with all of us, including you and me and Kathy. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Kathy.